Well, what we're working on today is a 2011 Grand Caravan. As you can see, the brake pads are pretty well junk. And the customer brought the van in and the complaint was the brakes squealing. Well, that's the problem. Now, on these Caravans, the calipers, these rear calipers, are a pain in the ass. You don't just push them back, you have to screw them back. And that takes a special tool that you can get at any auto parts store. The first thing you're going to do, jack it up, jack stand, and then you come up here and remove your master cylinder cap, just like that. And then what you're going to do is come back here, and the tools you're going to need is a 13 millimeter, and that's for the caliper bolts. And this is a special tool to turn these calipers back. It fits different models. As you can see, I got white paint on this one because for the most part I do Caravans, and I forget which one it is, so I painted it so I know this is the right side to do this. You're going to need a 3-inch extension, ratchet, 18 millimeter socket if you plan on taking the rotor off, because that fits the bracket bolts. And let's go ahead and get to it. Okay, what you're going to do next is take your caliper bolts off. That's these two bolts right here. I break them loose with a regular wrench, and these weren't really all that tight. Break them loose with a regular wrench, and if you have a ratchet wrench, use it. If you don't, get a set of these. They're really handy to do this. And once you get them loose enough, you can take them out with your fingers. But they are very handy to have. And then what you're going to do is take a flat screwdriver, get in there, and just kind of pry it a little bit, top and bottom. And it should come off. Just like that. Okay. Now, I'm hoping you can see all this. Right here, let me see if I can zoom in for you. See these two marks, one here, the indents? That's where your tool goes to screw this back. This does not push back, it screws back. It's not that bad sometimes. Sometimes it can be a real pain in the ass. What I like to do is get a little WD-40 and spray it. Spray that rubber. And what people are going to say is, well, that's going to make that slippery and your tool's going to slip around. Yeah, it might. But it's not going to rip this rubber. If you rip this rubber, this caliper is $90. So you try to save these as much as you can, because the customer don't normally like to spend that kind of money. So, but what you do then is you turn this back. Now sometimes these won't screw back, and if they don't screw back, your caliper's junk. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to screw it back and see if it will screw back. And hopefully it will, because I don't feel like replacing the caliper. But you get your two little studs there, and you put them down in your two indents, and you turn it back clockwise, and it will slip off and you will bust your fingers, and there's really no way around that. So there isn't. And to be honest with you, it might. It might go back, it might not. I hope it does. I don't feel like replacing the caliper today. So far, so good. Just like as in any other caliper, or like any other caliper, this will go back flat if it goes back. And it is going back, but we'll see if it goes back far enough. I don't believe it's going to. I'm going to shut this off. You guys don't need to see me screwing this back. And then I'll come back and let you know what happened. If we have to replace the caliper, we will. And I'll include that in there too. Okay, our caliper did finally get back. I think it's pretty well good. What you're going to do is, what I like to do, is take my bracket off. Take your 2 bolts off back here, pull your bracket off, and clean this up. And I'm going to show you how to do that, so I'll meet you over at the workbench. Okay, here we are at the workbench, and what I like to do is pull your caliper pins out, make sure they're clean, and put a little dab of anti-seize on them. That way they move, because otherwise you're going to wear your brakes out one pad and they ain't going to work very well. Like I said, just anti-seize them and put them back in, give them a little twist, and you're good. And you want to clean your slides here, and what I like to use is a wire brush, and just get in there and clean all that rust out of there. Okay? Top, bottom, all 4 of them. And then put a dab of anti-seize on these. Just a dab. And I'll get back to you here in just a second. Okay, put your 2 caliper bolts back in. Tighten them up. And I gotta get this rotor turned. And it's going to take a while to do that. I don't do it. I take it somewhere and have it done. So I'm just going to go ahead and finish the video, show you how to put this back together, and then I'll take it back apart. I wasn't figuring on all that. So what you're going to do is take your caliper bolts, or your, bracket bolts, and tighten them up. Make sure they're good and tight. Make sure your slides are loose. And then what you're going to do is take your brake pads, the one with the squealer right here is on the back side, and they just slip right down in there, just like that. Front one doesn't have a squealer. It just sets right down in there the same way and slides right back. And make sure they're back as far as you can get them. And then your caliper comes up over. Now this is kind of a pain sometimes to get these calipers to do what you need to do. And you will pinch your fingers. I just wish they'd do away with these. But your caliper just sets down in there like so. And like I said, watch your fingers, because you will pinch your fingers in these. Okay? And then what you're going to do is take your caliper bolts, get them started, and sometimes that can be a little tricky. Just get it lined up and get it started, and then get your other caliper bolt, and get it started. Just like so. Get your wrench and tighten them up. Sometimes you will have to hold your slide from turning, and that's a 17 millimeter, I believe, hex on that to hold that, but you can normally hold it with your fingers and tighten it up. And make sure everything's good and snug. I'm just doing this real quick because I have to turn the rotor anyways. I just want to finish the video, and maybe someday I'll do a video on how to turn them too. Like I said, I don't do it myself, and a lot of times it ain't worth it. That's one thing I will throw in there. Sometimes your rotors are cheaper than what it is to turn them. So always call and ask for a price of your rotors first, and then decide what you want to do from there. These rotors here are about $50 a piece. Cheaper to turn them. I can get them turned for about $12. So what we're going to do now, we got our caliper bolts in, we got our caliper bracket bolts in, we got our brake pads in, everything's snug. And what we're going to do is walk up to the front of the vehicle. This is after you do both sides. I'm just pretending I did both sides. Put your master cylinder cap back on. Come over here. Come in and pump your brake pedal up. Now I'm doing it using my hand, but make sure you got a good brake pedal. Always pump it up. Because if you don't, you got to back out of the garage, you have no brakes. And the reason why I say that is from experience. And it will scare the hell out of you. So that is how you change brakes for rear pads on a 2011 Grand Caravan. I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you found it helpful. And like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. The next video I'm going to be doing is a thermostat in a Caravan. 3.3 motor. Watch for that. It's coming out here pretty soon. And you'll see I do a lot of work on Caravans in my shop. A lot of work on Caravans. So well, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe. See you next time.